Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Lopre, JT, and friends. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Lopre, JT, and friends.
Lisa, Lopre, JT, and friends. Y'all ready to cook up some conversation?
Kitchen talk.
Right. I'm gonna run it one more time so we can wait on JT.
Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Lopre, JT, and friends. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. What you want to talk about? Kitchen talk, conversations that cook. Kitchen talk, Lisa, Lopre, JT, and friends.
Lisa, Lopre, JT, and friends. Y'all ready to cook up some conversation?
Kitchen talk.
Let's talk.
What
Hey,
up?
everybody.
Kitchen talk.
Yo.
Kitchen talk.
JT, what up,
CTC.
man?
Yeah.
Conversations that cook.
They cook. I'm trying to tell you they cook.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, everybody, friends,
man,
and
nobody
JT
keeps off
and
the road,
Jordan.
huh?
What's going on?
Ain't
I
nothing.
am, man. What's going on?
Yes, sir.
Not much.
Yes,
Y'all all right?
What do you call it?
How you?
Who?
You.
Oh, I'm all right. I'm a little out of it right now. It's been a pretty long day, but I'm here. Thank God.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yep, me too. Long week.
Welcome Mr. Jordan to the team.
Yes.
Thank
What's
you.
going
So,
on? What's going on?
Jordan Griffin, everybody. So, just
Jordan
before we
Thomas
went-
Griffin. Not
Yes, sir.
to be
Your
mistaken.
middle
with Ian
name is
Thomas Griffin.
Thomas. I did not know that.
It is.
So
Is that-
Jordan is I was telling France before we started.
I love Grandma in the background.
Hey,
You ain't
Grandma!
Well, she a trip,
Yes,
dude.
yes.
I know she is.
I love it.
I see,
Tell Grandma
hey,
pull
I
up
see
a
where you
chair.
get it from.
I guess I can't get her started because it'll never end. Trust me.
Oh,
Love it.
Lord. Oh, Lord.
So Jordan is recent graduate of Morehouse College
yes.
I don't care.
2020.
Don't nobody care.
Yes.
Don't nobody care.
HBCU. Don't act like that, JT.
Right.
Nah, we had this for you, brother. I just ain't get in. That's all. It's all right.
It's all
I'll
good.
be fine.
HBCU united. We are united.
We are
Exactly.
united. We are united.
Yeah.
HBCU. That's what my earrings say. HBCU made.
That's it. That's
Yes. Yes. So I invited Jordan tonight so we can get a millennial point of view on our discussion for tonight. Jordan is very accomplished, a wonderful young man, very mature, and a dynamic preacher since he was like a little boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is a shameless plug for tonight. So go to Shady Grove #1 Facebook page and look for our last service. And Jordan tore the house down. I'm trying to tell you, wasn't nobody in the house, but he tore it down.
Not I.
Hey, listen. The house is everywhere. And the Lord, He done made it so that y'all understand that the house is not in the church.
That's
But
right.
it's everywhere.
It's in your heart.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In your heart.
Wonderful young man. Wonderful, wonderful young man. So let's go ahead and dig in. So I wanted us to, I don't know whether compare is the right word or just try to dig into the 3 Independence Days. How about that?
Right.
3 Independence Days. What you said, JT?
I ain't said yet.
You see me like, I'm waiting on it.
I ain't said nothing yet.
So we have Emancipation, Proclamation Day, and we have Juneteenth, and then we have 4th of July, right?
Right.
All in America. This great, what was the song last week? This land is your land, this land is my land. Whatever that song was. Yeah.
Yeah,
that song.
I don't know what happened to your elementary education. That's like every elementary school student had to learn that song.
Right.
Jordan, did you have to learn that song?
I did. We're singing it in the school play and everything.
That's right.
Wow.
Lisa, what school you went to?
Hawks Rise Elementary.
Lisa, oh Lord. Your school deprived you, man. You oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, they had to start bringing us at a very early age.
Exactly. They start all us at an early age.
Right.
So
yeah.
I want to ask you guys, when did you first hear about the 4th of July? So when did you first hear about the 4th of July?
All I know is we was getting out of school for a holiday, and I was glad of that. So, and we was going to pop some fireworks.
Fireworks. Exactly. Exactly. It was a holiday. It was gonna be people over at the house barbecuing.
Yep.
Right.
Having a cookout.
Right. And you popping firecrackers and they burning your hand because you ain't throw it fast enough.
Oh, I was throwing them. we was throwing them, shooting them out of rockets, pots and pans, and everything else. Ooh, I'm sorry. Throwing out bottle rockets and all of that. Yeah. All of that was getting good. I'm from the country. We was lighting dynamite.
Not dynamite. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So it's safe to say. What are we gonna say, Frank?
We 4th of July was like a family experience for us because we always got together, went to the beach, saw the fireworks. And I'm not just talking about my intermediate. This is my extended family too. My cousins, my aunts, uncles, we all always got together. So it was a time to just relax, remember, but really truly understanding the 4th of July was really through elementary school. Understanding the importance of the date and the importance of, why we celebrate. So this year we may not have as much as we've had in the past in terms of the bands and the choirs and the big fireworks. But it is a time to just reflect.
Yeah.
So 4th of July for me was always just like a big family reunion kind of weekend, kind of day. A lot of people do their family reunions around that time because you get the holiday. And it never really was that much about Independence Day of America. I mean, we read about it maybe in school, but it was more of just like this day you got off, this holiday, you did family reunion. When you got older, you went to Essence. Like we will be at Essence right now, or
Oh
on
yeah,
our way, or on our
And
way to
you
Essence.
know I'm mad.
you know
Right,
You know
Francis.
I'm mad.
Mhm.
right. And it didn't have nothing. Essence ain't have nothing to do with America's independence.
Yes, it did.
How,
Yes, it did.
how did
Not
Essence
really.
end up doing that date anyways?
Mm-mm.
I don't remember
Yes, it
no
did.
fireworks. I remember Frankie
Oh
Beverly and
yeah.
Mays.
You know, when two or more gather together, that's when we celebrate independence, man. So Essence is definitely Independence Day.
So it's very interesting that one is definitely ingrained in our minds. We know 4th of July. So I will say, when did you guys, or I ask the question, when did you guys first hear or recognize, or do you even celebrate Emancipation Day or Juneteenth?
I will say I was probably, and I know it's a shame, I was probably like 16, 17 years old. We used to, they would have this big cookout out in the country, and it would be a lot of things going on. They had the old school barrel of lemonade. That was something special, I guess. I remember having that. Big softball game, all of that. Yeah. But I was
What
a
about
teenager.
you, Jordan?
Yeah, well, you're talking about Emancipation Day as far as like the Emancipation Proclamation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so growing up in the church, December 31st, you're in watch night service. So at 10 o'clock service starts, and then at 12 you're praising or praying your way into the new year. But it wasn't until maybe I was in middle school or early high school that I understood the significance of watch night. I thought it was just something that we did just to start the new year off right, but really didn't realize that is a celebration that our ancestors did to celebrate emancipation of Abraham Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. So that was something that, and even in that, we celebrated New Year's Day, but we didn't necessarily, my family and extended family, we didn't necessarily celebrate Emancipation Day, but New Year's Day. So in that more American culture.
So watch night definitely was, as I got older into my adult life, I began to understand that was a part of emancipation.
Right.
I will say that I was definitely an adult when I learned about Juneteenth. So that was one that I did not know growing up, or I won't say that it wasn't mentioned, but it wasn't ingrained the way 4th of July was, right? It wasn't necessarily mentioned every year. I don't ever remember going to a Juneteenth celebration. But then you have some people that celebrate Juneteenth and some people that celebrate May 20th, which is when apparently, and I'm not a historian, but I think this is what I read, the Emancipation Proclamation was read in Tallahassee on May 20th.
Yes.
18 da 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 da.
1865. Yes.
Yeah. See what happened when you bring the young folks in, the young college educated folks, they can help you out. I love you.
I got you.
So, friends, what's been your experience with Emancipation Proclamation Day or Juneteenth?
Juneteenth, I actually learned about when I moved to Tallahassee, when I came here for school for FAMU. That's when I kind of learned about Juneteenth and the significance of it. Everything else I pretty much knew about. There's another holiday that I think people started celebrating that's kind of quiet is December 1st, 1955. Do y'all know what's special about that day?
Not off the top of my head.
Not Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks on December 1st, 1955 was the day that Rosa Parks was like, I'm not getting up.
We celebrate that? I didn't even know that was a day.
I was at an event and they bought that up. They're like, we're celebrating this day. We're celebrating December 1st, the day that Rosa Parks stated that she's not getting up. The day that the civil rights movement actually really took off to the next level. Mm-hmm. We already knew the civil rights movement was already, moving, but after that day, it took off to a whole nother level. Similar to what's happening with George Floyd. We've already been fighting this fight for a long time, and with this situation, it kind of took it to another level when people said, okay, enough is enough. No. So I think there's a lot of holidays or days that people celebrate. I think what needs to happen is more of a unified front where we say, okay, this is the national holiday. This is the day that we're going to celebrate X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
I do think it's another type of device used to divide, right? So you have some people that celebrate May 20th, and you have some people that celebrate, June 19th, which is Juneteenth, right? Mm-hmm. So will we ever get on one accord with that? So if some people are saying our Independence Day as descendants of slaves, if some people are saying it's the 19th, and some people are saying it's May 20th, and then some people are saying, like Jordan said, is January 1st, right? So how do we come together? Jordan, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was saying, I guess the significance of all of this is the fact that once Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, not all of the states freed their slaves. The northern states, I believe, freed their slaves earlier once he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But we also have to take into account that the Civil War was still going on. The Civil War didn't end until 1865. And I believe it was April 18th, 1865. And so once April 18th, 1865 came and the Union beat the Confederates, then you start seeing Southern states freeing their slaves. So that's when you find, so it ended, Civil War ended April 18th, 1865. Then May 20th, 1865, you find Florida freeing their slaves. And then June 19th, 1865, you find Texas, which was, I believe, the final state to free their slaves. So the Confederates seemed to not want to free their slaves until the war was over, from my understanding of history. Yeah. And so I guess now we're at this place where, Florida has, I know we've celebrated in Tallahassee, and there's different events that goes on in Tallahassee celebrating May 20th. And I believe there was a letter written to the governor this week, actually, trying to make May 20th a state holiday. And so, but we've all kind of jumped in on this Juneteenth. I don't want to say bandwagon, but this Juneteenth kind of celebration, even though January 1st was the Emancipation Day. But I think if we just come together and just acknowledge a day, and I think Juneteenth is a great day because it is the last state that was free, all of us. So I think Juneteenth.
I think we should have more than one holiday. American history is deeper than just one day, 1 month. Black history is deeper than just one day and 1 month. So it's okay to celebrate on the 4th, on the 5th, on the 3rd, on the 12th, whatever day we want to celebrate. I think we should have multiple days from the first signing to the last freeing. Right. You know what I mean? From the from the first civil rights march to the last civil rights march. I think it should all be celebrated because we're worth it.
Nope.
What our ancestors have done and
Most
what they have
definitely.
gone through, you're worth more than just that one Juneteenth.
Right. One day.
Worth more than just that one day. I think we're worth more than just February. And a while back they've been pushing the 365, and really it should be pushed consistently because we're worth more than just one. So I think if anything, even if it's not on the national level or the state level, or we should celebrate it.
Definitely.
Just because.
Right.
Just because it's something that our people have gone through. So
I agree. And I think that, and what you say, JT?
Now I was telling friends, it ain't just you. Especially if I any day I ain't gotta go to work.
I agree that we should celebrate, but but making it a federal holiday, here are some of the arguments. Is one of them is what JT just said. Any day I can have off from work. So it becomes commercialized like the 4th of July. So there is that argument. For me, I think, and y'all can tell me what you guys think about this. I don't know if America will really make it a federal holiday, because that would mean they would have to admit openly and acknowledge slavery and slavery being wrong. And America has never really done that as a collective, as an apology, as an atonement, or any of that. But if you acknowledge Emancipation or Juneteenth, you would have to acknowledge that you wrongfully enslaved people. You shaking your head. Go ahead, friend.
Listen, we don't need for anybody to acknowledge why we celebrate. We don't need. I don't think it's part of the process for us to ask for a celebration or for a day of celebration. I think again, it's something that should be done because of what they went through. So asking for a day, waiting for a day, hoping for a day, I think those days are done. At this point, we're going to celebrate. So it's like your birthday. It's coming up. We're going to celebrate. So I know what you mean in terms of the nation giving it its official status. Nah. I think corporations have shown recently that they're going beyond what government has stated. So you know what? This is going to be a holiday for our corporation. This is going to be a holiday for our company. So we're going to give you the day off because we recognize how important it is for you. And until we as a people say, hey, this is important, we're not coming in, that's when the change is going to happen. So if we keep waiting for somebody to tell you, it was like our joke before we started. You can't wait for master to tell you you're going to get a raise today.
And I'm not saying we're waiting to celebrate, because we do celebrate.
Right.
I'm saying for us to petition, there are petitions and campaigns to make these days federal holidays. And my thing is, I don't think that it may happen, it may not, but it will have to come with the admission of y'all did something wrong. And that's never really been a thing. There's never been an actual atonement. And I guess I feel this way because in order for somebody to change their behavior, they have to recognize that they were wrong.
No.
The question is, how
if you never acknowledge that you're wrong, then you give these blanket type of apologies of if I offended you.
Mm-hmm.
instead of acknowledging that I'm wrong because you don't think you're wrong. And that's what I'm saying, is that America has never said we were wrong in doing this.
Right.
And I think if it comes to acknowledging a federal holiday for Juneteenth, they would have to admit that somebody did something wrong, that America did something.
Do not expect anybody.
Say it again, JT.
Don't expect that to happen either.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
The problem is if you expect somebody to say that they're wrong and we want a holiday, it's going to be more than just a holiday. It's going to be we need more than just that day to celebrate. We're going to need some acres and a mule, or we're going to need some black. It's deeper than just we want to celebrate. So that's the real reason. You know what I mean? If I say that I'm wrong for doing X, Y, and Z, that means I have to atone for that. I have to compensate you for that. And it's the holiday is not a good. The holiday is not enough. Let's put it that way.
Let's get these Negroes a day off so they can be happy and call it a day. Nah, that's exactly what they're doing. That's not the way to kind of set that tone. So at least I get what you're saying. I really do, but I don't think that's going to be the approach.
And that's my point, is even the push for reparations, all of that means that somebody has to admit that they were wrong. Jordan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think at this point, I think there's so many different ideas and tactics and strategies as far as what we should do. And you got the NAACP working, you got NAN working, you got grassroots people working. And I think at this point you have some politicians working, and they've already introduced a bill to the Senate for acknowledging Juneteenth as a federal holiday. I don't know how far it's going to go, but I guess at this point, I guess we could just try to support as many different strategies as possible, because when we think about it, we as a people, there's a lot of things we can be working at. And so, you got statues coming down, but you also got to be supporting Black-owned businesses, so that the dollar in the Black community doesn't circulate for 6 hours, but longer than that. And so it's just so many different avenues that it's so many different avenues that there might not be a central place of getting, or central solution to getting what we need as Black people. But just kind of supporting everybody in their strategies and tactics and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's interesting. We're in a tough place.
It's an interesting day. I would definitely say that. It is an interesting day. It feels, I think we talked about this too earlier, Jordan, that it feels different this time. I think more emphasis this year was on Juneteenth than some of the other years that go by. More emphasis on not celebrating the 4th of July and things of that nature. So
and that's hard. I think a lot of people were saying don't celebrate the 4th. I think we should celebrate the 4th. Again, there is no separation from Black history and American history. When we try to separate it, we do ourselves a disservice, because American history is Black history. It is Black history. We're celebrating America. We are here. So this is not, well, I was say this land is your land, this land is my land. Well, you know what? The 4th is a day that we celebrate the land. So, to separate the two, I think is a disservice. It's to recognize the two. And that's why that the Black Lives Matter movement is important, because what's being said is that you don't recognize how important and how valuable these lives are right now. It's not to say that others are not. It's not to say that, this is, these people are not important, or these people are more important than the other. It's to say that right now, Black people have value to this cause, to this country, to all that we're doing. So again, we should celebrate the 4th, just like every other holiday. But the holidays that we should also include are Juneteenth.
And May 20th.
That's right. Is May 5th. Is December 1st. Those are days that we need to recognize the movement and the push that people have had. Of course, MLK Day. We got MLK.
So we got to have MLK Day.
What you say, JT?
No, I'm just saying, don't forget to include MLK Day. Do not forget.
That's what I did. I can't leave them out. You know what I mean? We should be celebrating these days just like every other holiday. You know what I mean? There's an interesting question. We have MLK, but what about Malcolm X? Why is there not a Malcolm X Day?
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that. No, Malcolm X Day. So
it's not a Malcolm X Day because
they
didn't like Malcolm X. He was too militant.
Exactly.
They liked MLK because he kept the peace. They thought they was able to keep him in line, more in line. Whatever. He was non-violent. So this whole thing, they can't celebrate a militant person that was saying stand up for your rights by any means necessary. They can't celebrate that. But here's the other thing that
stop singing and start swinging.
What you say, JT?
Stop singing and start swinging.
Right. So thank you. Theodore Thomas, he's got like 100. So we're speaking the truth tonight, I guess.
I wanted to.
That's my point right there.
Oh.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I wanted to piggyback and kind of give maybe a different perspective to what France was kind of talking about. And I think at first, after all of this is happening and, I'm getting all this information and reading up more, I was like, I'm not celebrating 4th of July. I'm just not doing it because my people were still enslaved when they were celebrating their independence. Black people.
So we can't get no hot dog at your house.
1619. You won't find it about. But after listening to him, and even before, just kind of thinking about all of this, and I was watching a video earlier today, and it's more so why you celebrate it, the reasons you celebrate it, and so I can celebrate it for the independence that I have now. I can celebrate it for the freedoms that I have now, but not necessarily celebrating it because America separated, or the colonial colonies, the colonies separated themselves from Great Britain, because my folk was still working and being treated like animals. And so, I think we must be keenly aware of what, if we're going to celebrate it, know why you're going to celebrate it. Not just necessarily celebrating it because this is what we have done, and this is just kind of. I think there should be a reason and a purpose behind what you do.
And because you get the day off.
Because we get the day off.
Right.
And that was gonna be my other question. Can we not celebrate it? Are we not American?
There it is.
Is it not a part of our, like France was saying, it's a part of our history because we are American, right? So when we first came over here, we were not American, we were African. But after we start being born here, we are American. So it is, I agree with you, France, it is a part of our history. And I agree with you, Jordan, about what is your purpose for celebrating it? So I don't think we ever. I don't have my glasses on. I didn't read. Put it. I know, right? Put it back up for us, Jamal, please. That comment. Somebody read it. I can't see it.
I rock with that notion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, oh, I lost what I was gonna say. Oh God, I hate when that happens.
Is it up on a shelf somewhere where you got to climb up to get it?
Don't y'all laugh at him.
Too soon.
You gotta get a short joke in there at least once, don't you? Listen,
God.
I got my church baby on here with you. He will beat you up for me.
I got you back.
He gonna hit me with a bob.
Yes.
I'm gonna lay hands.
Oh God. You know, one of the things that we must continue to kind of think about is not to throw away the baby with the bathwater. You got to remember the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's because America does not want to address the ugly that we're in a situation we're in. Exactly. We have to be able to say, you know what, I celebrate it all. Because I know it. I know the truth. We know the truth, and we celebrate that truth. But like Jamal said, and I agree, we know the why. And because we know the why, we can celebrate it the way we want to celebrate it, the way it should be celebrated. So I think it's something that we have to consistently remember. Don't just throw away the bad parts or the ugly parts. Those are the parts we must remember, so that we can continue to galvanize, grow, and become better. And two, not make the same mistake again.
Right.
So is that what 45 was saying about Black people remember where y'all come from so y'all won't repeat it? Because y'all might be back there.
Man,
anyway.
When I saw that I was like, well, okay, you know what? I ain't gonna even get mad. We know what 45 does. He's going, and you know what? His publicist has to go every day to correct and try to find something to say. You know what? He didn't mean that. He didn't mean this. That's not what he meant. Come on, man. This man is saying everything that he means. Everything that he says, he means. I mean, he makes himself look real dumb, but he just says whatever comes to his mind. Whatever he wants to tweet, he tweets it.
Ain't making himself look like that. He is that.
Yeah, that's just
yeah, that's correct. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but again, we know the truth. And that's why I said what I said earlier. You know, we can't wait for somebody, president, vice president, I don't care, senator, to give you the authority to step into your greatness, into your purpose, into your power. Doing that is like, I can't even use the words because I know we on live. So
what you mean?
We cannot kill ourselves in that process. We got to remember that. You know, we're bigger than that. We should not subscribe to that.
France.
Yes, sir.
Don't be a dog. Let it out.
Do not. But I think there is a point to learning from your past so that you don't repeat it. I agree with that. But I think the thing that he is not aware of is not going to be slavery that gets repeated. It may be another civil war that gets repeated, because we're not taking what our ancestors, some of them, I ain't saying all of them, we're not taking what some of them took. This generation and Jordan's generation are more of the Harriet Tubmans, more of the
Malcolm X's.
more of the Malcolm X's, right?
Okay, so here's the thing though. We have to be smart in our, pursuit. You are right. It may not be the same as he think it's going to be, and it's not going to be the same as what the Civil War was.
Right.
We are at another level in terms of our mentality. We're at another level in terms of our economics. We're on another level in terms of our network. We have the ability to do way more and to not do it in a violent way, but do it in a way where it will affect a large amount of change in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So, strategy to me is the name of the game at this point. Mm-hmm. So, is it going to be a civil war? Nah, not like you thought it was going to be.
Right.
It's not going to be north, south, east, west. It's actually going to be a little bit different in terms of, how the country really views this particular situation. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people think that it's a lot of people that thinks like Trump, but it's the opposite. There's a lot of people who are disgusted by what they're seeing, by what they're hearing. So, although he has the platform to be able to talk the talk, we have the ability to walk the walk. Right. And we have been doing it since you're getting me today. Today, I was supposed to be chilling today. I was supposed to be just relaxing today. You see that, Jordan?
You are relaxing. You are relaxing. You're just having a hot conversation in the kitchen. It's what we do. It's what we do.
It got hot in here. It got hot.
It's what we do. And here is Jordan. You want to say something?
Well, I wanted to speak on like making sure that we know our history so that people don't repeat history. Mm-hmm. And so that goes into education. Mm-hmm. And first of all, I think we need to do something within our educational systems throughout the country by teaching the correct side of history as far as it comes with Black history. But that also comes with Black churches, organizations, clubs, initiatives. We all as a collective, because we know back in the day that the Black church was the mecca for gaining knowledge and education and all that type of stuff. Now we're in a new age, a different age where the Black church is not necessarily the main place of gaining that information. We have different fraternities and sororities and organizations and people, with these different initiatives and protests and rallies. And so it is important while we're doing these things and doing what we're doing and completing our mission that we're also teaching the history behind these different things. So that's all I wanted to add.
You said something that's important. And in terms of education, the education starts at home.
Yes.
The education starts within our community. Again, we can't wait for a system to teach us who we are, where we're from, what we can be, how much value we have. Definitely. It's because of that we're in a situation that we're in. People kept waiting for somebody to teach you, well, this is where you're from, and this is what you should be, and this is how you should act. At this point, we have to go back and remember that education starts at home, from our individual houses into our communities, into our churches. All of that plays a big role in how our community will grow.
True. So I agree with you, but also not so much the fault of parents, because depending on how far removed you are from slavery, the trauma of it, you didn't want to talk about it. You didn't want to you wanted to just kind of be free from it. And I think sometimes we step back where we don't talk about it, and we don't pass the lineage down to our kids, and we don't pass the stories down to our kids, Number one, because it was so traumatic that we don't want them to know that part. We want them to know the freedom. We want them to know you can be and do anything, and not give them the foundation or that history. Like you were saying, we don't want to acknowledge the ugliness. We don't want to acknowledge the bad part. So we just want to, you know, teach this part, and we want you to know that you can be this and you can be that, and you're great, and your Black is beautiful, and da 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 da, you know. So, and then too, from grandparents to great grandparents to grandparents to parents of children who go to school in once segregation hit. So here is now parents that are learning American history, and that's what they're passing down. But now in that American history, it has nothing to do with Black folks, or it may be a little section, or it may be a little bit about Martin Luther King, or they're actually living in the, like my mom lived in the Martin Luther King era, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you get a little bit of that, but you don't really get a whole lot of the slavery. Like my mama, she can't watch Roots and stuff like that because it pisses her off. So why would she tell her children about it? Or how can she tell her children about it? You know, in that respect. So I get it starts at home. I get that. But sometimes trauma can keep you from telling the story.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's not just the lessons that you learn in your house. See, your mom sent you to an HBCU, one of the best in the land. So even there, you learn more about your people, about your culture, and about yourself. I think that's the piece. We have to continue to educate ourselves beyond the written literature of the Caucasian persuasion. There are a lot of Black writers. There are a lot of people who have gone through those situations, and they have written it down so that you know what has happened. There are a lot of historians who have taken notes and taken time to put that in place, so that for those of us that did not want to talk about it, somebody did. Right. And because they did, we have to be seekers of the truth, seekers of knowledge, and seekers of self. You know, that's going to make the difference. That's why we celebrate. That's why we celebrate.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's what I'm also loving about our arts and entertainment industry right now, is that we are telling our own stories. And so they're more true to life. So I know one of our shows, we talked about Harriet and how Dr. Brickler, the daddy Brickler, was in the audience of the preview that I saw. And Harriet Tubman was his great aunt or great aunt or something like that. And to hear him talk and say how the movie was so close and true to the stories that he had been told about her, and how she saved his grandmother in this whole freedom and Underground Railroad. So for us to be able to tell our own story, so now our history is coming out, and it's dark, don't get me wrong, but there are some moments of hope and encouragement in it that we don't get, that we didn't get. Yes, I went to for elementary, I went to a PWI. For high school, I went to a HBCU. But ask me how much I remember or how much it was ingrained in me about Juneteenth or even May 20th.
Right.
But I remember Independence Day. You know what I'm saying? So even though it's taught, it's not as deep and rich as how much has been poured into us about the 4th of July. So I agree that it does need to start at home. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
Again, once we start caring about it and we start seeking that knowledge, then it holds more value. It holds more strength, because again, you are now looking for it. You're not, somebody's not just giving it to you. It's something that you seek. You want to understand about your people, about your culture, about yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's about ourselves. As Jamal said earlier, it is your own independence that you're celebrating. Not just the independence of America, but your own individual independence.
France.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna need you to call this baby by his name.
Oh,
his
Jordan.
Name is Jordan.
Jordan. I just looked down and I said, "Oh, it's Jordan, not Jamal." Listen,
it's all good.
Jamal is our engineer for today. Shout out to Jamal.
I'm thinking of Jamal.
Thank you.
I needed to say Jordan. Oh God.
It's all good.
We getting better. We getting better.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. So Jordan, from a millennial point of view, I know, how are you seeing your people? And Jamal laughing. We did have another comment earlier from Patricia Griffin. Wonder who that is.
Right.
And she said, "Each one teach one," and that's very true. We all have to do our part. Okay, these people outside popping off firecrackers about to drive me crazy.
Already.
Oh, I don't even know.
We ain't even at the 4th yet. Come on.
No. Keep it going.
Y'all hear them? Y'all can't hear them.
No, I can't hear them. Let them fly. Let them fly.
Can they wait? Can they wait to Saturday? Right. And not while I'm trying to work.
Listen, the celebration starts early. You know what I mean?
Lord, can I get you to go vote early? Like you popping off them firecrackers. So what? Yeah, I said it. I said what I said. And who gonna check me, boo?
Oh God. So
what I wanted to know, Jordan, is what is your feel of millennial participation in this particular climate when we're talking about Emancipation Proclamation and Juneteenth and 4th of July? What are you getting from your generation?
Yeah, so I think my generation is kind of amped up about this. They're taking the streets. I've gone out to protest and rallies with my mask. And
thank you.
And I've seen the majority of these people at these protests and rallies are young people. And I think, and when you look across the nation and you're looking at the different demographics, they're young people and they're multicultural, and different ethnicities and different races, different backgrounds. And so it just speaks to where we are in America today as far as gaining collective effort in this fight for justice for black folk in America. So I think people are amped. I mean, you even had, bless her soul, the young activist in Tallahassee that passed away. And so that just speaks to where young people are as far as their interaction in social activism today. And it doesn't seem like we're going to let up. So I know our elders and our older folk and our seasoned folk have fought this fight before, and this is a new fight for us, and we got a lot of energy. So yes, right now, support from our elders, our seasoned folk, our old folk. They might not be able to go out there and protest, but there's different things. There's different things and different ways they can support. Y'all not old.
Nah, because I believe that there's more. This systemic fight is deeper than just the march and just the rally.
Right.
I told you guys I was going to do. I still haven't done it, but I've had these conversations almost daily now with my classes, with my friends. You know, as an educator, I've been a part of the fight for a long time.
Right.
You know, when we talk about education, that's where the real fight happens. When we talk about policy change, that's when the real fight happens.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
it's great that you guys have the energy to go out and to raise the banner and to raise the awareness, but the fight has to keep going way after we leave the streets.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then that happens in the courtroom, that happens in the legislation
Chamber.
policy making, the changes happen at that level. Everything else is uncivilized.
So, Jordan, I can't protest because I'm 5 feet tall, and if some go down,
Where's JT?
I already know. So I ain't even going out there.
Yeah. You can come join us. You can send your support, your wisdom, your knowledge. You know,
I'm not trying to get trampled.
you can do it.
Here's what I said. We need our young folks to achieve and to surpass their own destiny.
Yeah.
So whether you want to become president, pastor, politician, policeman, whatever it is, we need you guys to achieve that, because that's where the change happens.
Right.
And
I do call Jordan my future POTUS. So he already know. I gotta wait a while because I gotta wait till he get 35.
Well, you need to donate to the campaign now. Donate to the campaign.
Already, I'm your campaign manager, Jordan. You already know I got you. That's what I call him. That's what I call him. My future POTUS. I already know.
That right there, that's independence. Right. That's the celebration. That's where we say Black Lives Matter. Let me stop.
I appreciate your comments about that policy, the policy making and stuff like that. And then I also want to say, because I'm kind of aware of that. And what we have to make sure though is when we are out here protesting and when we are out here marching, that we're attaching ourselves to marches and protests that are going to affect policies and legislation. We don't, like you say, you don't want to just be marching out here just to be marching, but you want to attach yourself to a march and a protest where they have a mission and they have goals, and this is what we're marching for. And that's, I've tried to, I've done some, just out there protesting, but I've also tried to attach myself to different movements that are saying, okay, this is our mission, these are our goals, this is what we're trying to get accomplished. And then of course their leadership is going to City Hall, sitting in those meetings, trying to, this is what we're demanding, and then we're going to be protesting tomorrow, type of deal. So that's
Jordan, you hit it, but not. I think Lisa said it earlier. Vote and vote early. But you know what? We need you guys to get in the game so that we can vote for you.
This is true.
It's not just going to vote. Who are you voting for? Yeah. Right. That's the policy changer. That's the policy maker. Right. So, we need you guys to be safe. We need you to be smart. But more importantly, we need it to be strategic.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So I do think that there is, that's a mess right there. I think we lost JT, or he left us, or he don't like us no more. What happened?
We lost him.
I think there is purpose. I agree that there is purpose in the protest too. And I think part of that is the protest is our way of getting that anger energy out as well, right? So that it doesn't fester and become explosive in another way. So I think the protest is a little twofold in that manner. So this is the way that young people or whoever can get out and they pound the streets and they raise their voices. I think when we talked to our clinical psychologist a few weeks ago and talking about outlets and ways to relieve stress and different things and helping with our mental state, I think our protests are a way of doing that as well. So I still like to see the protests, but again, like you say, policy changes, procedure changes, getting out and vote. When you're out protesting, do y'all have voter registration ballots in your hand? Have you registered to vote? Maybe that's what I could do. I'm gonna go sit on the sideline.
That would be good.
I can't get it.
Everybody got a place. Everybody got a place.
Right.
Go get on the sideline and say, hey, while y'all out here, sure, I love it. Raise your voice. Black Lives Matter, sure, I love it. No justice, no peace. Come over here and register to vote.
Vote.
And not just what we've learned, not just in your federal election, in your local elections.
Yes.
In your city, your state, your county,
Mm-hmm.
in those elections.
Right.
So
Listen, to tie it all together.
Yeah.
When that vote happens,
yeah.
Then you'll get your holiday.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you'll get your holidays with an S, because it'll be so easy for them to say, yes, this is a national holiday. This is a state holiday. This is a local holiday.
Right.
Yeah.
When the right people are in the right positions, then change has happened.
Yeah.
That hour went by that.
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. The hour is gone. Friends, you talk too much.
Listen, next week, last week, I was like, I'm not saying nothing. This week, you done got me hot. Next week, I'm not going to say a word.
There will never be a day when France doesn't say anything. Never.
It's called kitchen talk. I just thought it's called kitchen talk. It's called kitchen talk. You got to talk.
Right. You got to talk. You got to talk. So
at least you're talking the truth.
Right. So thank you, Jordan, for joining us.
Thank you for the
opportunity. Jordan is on his way to Vanderbilt to work on his master's degree.
Yes.
There it is. There it is. What area?
Master of Divinity.
Okay, there you go. That's what we need. As you just stated, the church has such a powerful influence. Right. So we need the people with the right mindset.
It does.
To be leaders, not puppets. Ooh, I said it.
Oh, you said it. You said it. You said it. That's it.
You did. You did. And it's wonderful when you get a pastor that is well-rounded. It's not just church, but we live in this world. And so we got to affect change while we're in this world. Right? And it's not just pray about it. So it's not just faith.
No action.
It's
pray with no action.
Right. It's work too. It's work too. So
Walt said he lived in Nashville, so he think the school's gonna be nice to you, man. So I think we all wish you the very best as you move forward and onward.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
And Jordan, you got to come back. So we gotta find a time to get you back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jordan, for being in your kitchen. I love it. I love it.
No problem.
So we're gonna let the people go because we way over. Well, not quite way over, but we're a little bit over our hour here. It goes by so quickly. Now imagine we used to shoot this, Jordan, at 30 minutes at a time. So you can imagine how quick that was. And we were like, wait a minute, we just got started. But yeah.
No, this was good. This was perfect. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling this hour thing. I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. So I will say good night to you all. We'll be here next Thursday at 9:00. Same bat station, same bat channel. Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.